Hey, what's going on guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at a much requested topic, which is my hotkeys and my settings. So yeah, I'm going to be doing it today. I'm going to be going through my hotkeys, my settings, and as well as my control groups. We'll show you guys what I like about them, what I don't like, what I recommend, and what I'd say stay away from. Um, as well as, my overall settings, my scroll speed and such. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. So to start, let's take a look at my overall settings. I'm sorry the screen's a bit small. It's the biggest I can make it, so hopefully it's not too bad for you guys. My scroll speed is all the way at the top. I think in a multiplayer it's a bit less though, so it's one notch from the top. But yeah, it's right up there. Music would be off. This is not a problem. Um, as far as screen size resolution, you guys know 1920 by 1080. That's pretty much it for the settings. One thing I will mention though, graphics are on low. That is on purpose. Low graphics, you're able to see the hills a little bit better, and you could see who has the hill bonus. It's just overall clearer, and it runs better on most PCs as well. So I definitely recommend that. Scroll speed, it's not at the very top; it's one notch down, so it looks something like this in game. All right. So let's go for the hotkeys now. And I'll basically just run through all of them and show you guys, like I said, what I like and don't like. So start off unit commands here. Take a look here. Attack round as T. I think that's the default hotkey. Um, it's pretty useful. I use it for mangonels and stuff. Pretty comfortable with it. Delete, yeah, it's pretty standard. Convert, I don't need a hotkey because I just like to right click. Works just fine. All right, so for iconic buildings, I use B. This is the default, and for my military ones, I use K. So as you see throughout the entire hotkey setup, all my military buildings will be near my K, and all my uh, economy buildings or other buildings will be near my B. That's just how I click them. Again, I know that you can do B and then click a military building and it would still work, but this is what I use to help remember the hotkeys, and it's worked really well. And so I didn't really find a need to change it. Garrison is G, so this is when you're learning a bore and the villagers are just running back to the TC. Click G, put it into the town center. As far as repair goes, I recently added a hotkey to this. I used to have it not hotkeyed. I used to just right click, but now since you have to repair, against men at arms very often nowadays, I decided to add a hotkey to it, and it's the same as my attack round. Again, they don't conflict because a mangonel can't repair and a villager can't attack ground, so they will never conflict. Set gather point is F, so basically when I'm running with my villager, same scenario, I garrison him with G, and then I click F, and then I left click my boar, and then I click C to unload. So that's the whole setup with that boiler there. F to set the gather point, and C to unload. Again, it works with villages, but it also works with other units inside castles and such. Stop, I have it also as C. Again, they don't conflict because unload is only applicable to a unit inside a building, and the stop hotkey wouldn't conflict with that. So stop and unload both at C works quite well, and definitely would recommend pretty much everything on this page. Let's go for game commands now. So a lot of these are pretty useless, but as far as my go-to buildings, so flare, shift F, I mean, it works. This is pretty much anything you want it to be though. As far as my archery range, so this is a bit interesting. I think this is where the uniqueness comes in. So my go-to archery range, barracks, stable, and siege workshop are all in the same spot. So my archery range is my left arrow key. So you actually have to take your hand off the mouse for this to work. This is something I don't recommend, and I used to do it in single queue. It's good when you're spamming units. Like I said, in single queue, you just take your hand off the mouse, spam left, and then spam the button to make the unit, and it works really well. However, if you want to quickly tab to an archery range, during a fight, you don't really want to take your hand off the mouse just to go to your archery range. So I wouldn't really recommend this, but it worked quite well during single queue era. So left for my archery range, down for my barracks, and you'll see later up for my siege workshop, and right for my stable, all in the arrow keys. This is something I would recommend. My go-to blacksmith is Z. It's very close to my left hand, where I'm positioned, because I'm obviously positioned on the arrow keys, A, W, S, D, as I'll get to later. Oh, sorry, I jumped there a little bit. But yeah, my go-to blacksmith is Z, very close. Let me just quickly going through. Okay, go to lumber camp, also Control Z, very important. So Control Z, Control X for my mill, and Control C for my camp. So Z, X, and C is my go-to the military buildings. Oh, sorry, the economy buildings. And so when I get to the new age, I just cycle from Control Z to Control X to Control C, and I can get to all the upgrades I need. All right, so this is really good to keep them in the same spot. Going to castle 0, again, it's near the arrow keys, so it worked in the same way. Same thing with the dock. Just moving quickly along here. Go to market Control A. Again, it's close to my Control Z and Control C, Control X. It's all in the same spot. Control Y from honestly, I don't use that. Next, add a military unit. Wheel up. I don't use it very often, but it comes up, especially for finding those monks with the relics that you don't know where you put them. Just go that wheel up, and then you'll find them. Next, add a villager. Um, I use Q to find this one. I don't use this one. Don't bother with this. So just Q, find it. Go to select the object as space, that's default. Go to see drug shop up and right for stable, that's pretty standard. Alright, tab for town center. This is another one I would recommend. When you start the game, my producing villager hotkey is E. Um, but I go to town center with tab, so basically I just spam tab E, and it's super close to my hand placement. So again, this is something I'd really recommend. Tab is very easy to press as well, so something that you use very often, like going to the town center. I want it to be really accessible, so tab is great for that. The default hotkey, I believe, is C. So, is H, which is not as easy to press in my opinion. Go to universities X. Again, this is close to my go-to blacksmith, which is Z. So it's very easy to press both of them at the same time. Helpful for getting upgrades in the late game. And I'm pretty sure that's it. Alt G is another one I use a lot, but again, that's default. And yeah, the rest is pretty much you don't need it. Scroll commands, so this is the most unique stuff in the Hera hotkey file, I guess you can say. AWSD to scroll, A is left. It's pretty self-explanatory. The rest is, S is down, W is up, and D is right. This is something I don't recommend, boys, so just because I'm using it and I have success, I don't recommend it for you guys. It's not the worst thing in the world, but the thing is, scrolling with arrow keys, with the keyboard, it just takes up 4 hotkeys, and this overrides any other command. So if I want to say have a building with S, as like BS for example, to build it, um, it wouldn't work because the scroll command would make S scroll my screen down instead of making the building. So this takes away pretty much 4 hotkeys that I can't use for anything else. So it's pretty bad, although it does help for microing and just moving around the map a little bit. So it has its benefits, but it has too many cons, I think, to make it viable. I'm just too used to it, so I don't want to part with it. Alright, moving swiftly along here, we've got a villager build command. So I will go quickly through this. So I'll just scroll here and you guys can take a look at the different ones I use. Again, feel free to pause the video if there's anything that you want to copy or take a look at. Let me just find some notable stuff to take a look at. There's not too many crazy ones here. Keep in mind that my military buildings will be close to my K. Remember, K is to build my military, and my economy buildings will be near my B. So there you go, pretty much standard stuff. A lot of stuff I don't have a button for. We'll point out my palisade wall is BB, so it's very easy to press. That's why my quick walling is pretty good. BG to make a house. There it is. There it is. So again, very easy to wall with that. And then BC to make a gate. So that's why my quick walling is pretty decent because it's all near the button B, and it's very easy to press it fast. And the rest is pretty standard here. No hotkey for wonder because you don't need it. More buildings, this is not a very useful button to press either. And fish trap, I don't really have a hotkey for that as well because it doesn't come up often. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright, for my town center, so now for my production, you're going to notice that all my production is on like 5 hotkeys. So E is my first production, this is the one I use most often, then it's R, then it's T, and then it's C, and then it's F, no, not F, sorry, then it's V and G. V and G I rarely use, but E, R, T, and C, again, they're close to my AWSD, so it's very easy to press these ones to create units. And as you can see, for all my buildings, that's where the unit creation will be at. So for my town center, villager will be E, again, very easy to press. And go back to work is R, because that is very easy to press as well, my second button. I don't have a button to ring the town bell, because you should never use this. For my dock, okay, let's go through this one. The dock has the most amount of units available, so there's a lot of hotkeys I don't often use. But let's go through it. So E for my fast fire ship, or my fire ship, because this is really useful. It's pretty much common in every game, so I make this my priority. Next is fishing ship, R, again very common, so you want to use it a lot. Next is galley, ST, again very common. Transport, SC, probably the 4th most used. And then the other ones is the very niche ones. So we're seeing canned galleon is Y. This is actually my least favorite button to press because it's quite far. Then I've got longbow as G, quite far but still accessible, and turtle ship as G as well because you can never have both of them at the same time. So yeah, that's pretty much the idea there. All right, barracks here. So we have E for the Spearman, Militia R, Eagle Warrior T, or Husk Roll, and then Conjure C. So it's very repetitive. Same thing with Archery Range. Um, this one, the Janitor, I put as a V. But again, you really use him. But yeah, it's pretty much just the repeat. Stable, ERT, standard stuff. Siege Workshop, same thing. And Monastery, same thing. Market, same thing. E. Military units. Okay, so this is interesting. So how I switch between the formations so fast, I'll run you guys through that. So first and foremost, let's talk about my mouse button. So I'm using the Death Ladder. I've got 2 buttons on it. I use the Stand Ground and Aggressive on my as my 2 buttons as the hotkeys. And this is why. I switch between these guys so often that I figured I want a really easy way to do it that doesn't take away from my keyboard hand, because my keyboard hand has to be the one responsible for splitting, for example, or taking control of the formations while I'm microing. So I don't want to be also worrying about the stances. So I do that with my mouse hand. And again, I flip them a lot, so I want to have them accessible. For my formations on the keyboard, I'm using box as V, flank as E, and line as R. So to split, I go E to split, and then R to go back. And then when I'm going to box, I just go with V. My patrol is F. So E, R, V, and F. That's the buttons I'm using. Again, very close to my hand. It's very important that your micro is very close to your hand to be able to pull it out really fast. Finally, my staggered formation is wheel down. That's the one where they spread out. It's kind of just a preference. You don't need to have this hotkeyed because it's not very, it's not all that useful. But I would say, put at least some hotkey on it just to pull it out here and there. All right, finally, castle. Again, same thing. Unique unit R, E, trebuchet R, and Peter T. And then mill to reset farm. It's F. This is the default hotkey. It should have been E if I'm following my my hotkey scheme, but it is F. All right, so I think the one thing I didn't talk about was my control groups. So, well, my control groups are as follows. I use 5 maximum, but usually I only use 4, and this is how I use them. For 1, I hotkey my scouts or my first military units. For number 2, it's my second group of military units. So let's say I'm going scouts into archers. It would be scouts as 1 and archers as second. And that's how I flip between them. For 3 and 4, it's for my buildings. So if I'm doing let's say stables, I'll put them to 3, and then if I also add in some ranges, I put them on 4. If I have a 5th type of building, let's say siege workshops, usually I don't hotkey them, but sometimes I'll hotkey them to 5 as well. But usually 5 is for my markets for trade. All right, so run it through again. 1 and 2 for fighting for military units, 3 and 4 for production buildings, and then 5 for markets if I'm trading. So yeah, that's pretty much it for my hotkeys, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is a much requested video, like I said again. So I hope it sheds some light on how I play the game. If there's any questions, just feel free to leave a comment and I'll gladly answer them. Again, I wouldn't recommend the scroll commands, even though it's pretty much my my staple thing that people know me by as far as hotkeys go. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a comment if you got any questions, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Have a good one. Peace.